Right now on KGW News at noon, a wrong-way crash killed one Portland teen and injured two others. We have the latest. Plus, the Portland man charged with hitting and running over an elderly woman in 2021 is back in court. The state seeking to commit him to the state hospital.
Also, a positive update coming your direction minutes away on that wildfire burning in central and eastern Oregon. Also, I'm tracking the warmest temperatures of the year on my 7-day forecast. Your news at noon starts now.
Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm China Green. Right now, the man charged in a deadly hit and run spree is back in court. Prosecutors are asking a judge to commit the suspect to the state hospital since doctors have ruled that he is not fit for trial. Just a warning note that some of these details are graphic as well as the video. So this happened back in January of 2021. Prosecutors say Paul Rivas was suffering from paranoid delusions when he went on a rampage with his SUV in southeast Portland. 9 people were hurt and 77-year-old Jean Garrett died. In court this morning, prosecutors played cell phone video that shows the SUV driving on the sidewalk before flipping a U-turn in the middle of the street. Surveillance video also showed the car running over a bicyclist in a bike lane. Incredibly, that person survived. Garrett died at the corner of Southeast 19th and Washington after she was hit twice by the SUV. A witness described what he saw as he tried to help her.
I walked up to her and looked down, and then I heard a noise to my left. I looked up, and right at the curb was a gray SUV with the right bumper dangling, heading right towards us. The next thing I recall was a flash of gray, and then right in front of me, the woman's head disappeared under the front bumper.
Today's hearing is expected to last most of the day. We'll update you on what happens tonight on the news at 4. We're following a fatal crash in Camas that happened late last night. Washington State Patrol confirms an 18-year-old from Portland was killed by a wrong-way driver on SR 14. The crash happened just before 11 last night. Police say 23-year-old Eric Moya was driving the wrong way down SR 14 when he crashed head-on into a car with 3 teens inside. He is now facing vehicular homicide and assault charges. The 2 other teens, an 18 and 17-year-old, were taken to the hospital, but we don't know the extent of their injuries. In Lincoln County, a 45-year-old man was killed in a crash last night on Memorial Day. This happened about 8:30 in the remote location outside of Walport, Oregon. The Oregon State Police determined 45-year-old Calvin Morshini was impaired by alcohol, and his passenger, David Vargas, died after taken to the hospital. Morishini is charged with manslaughter in the 2nd degree, reckless driving, and DUII. New at noon, a former pro wrestler in Portland accused of killing his wife is now being sued for elder abuse by her estate. 70-year-old William Haynes Jr., better known as Billy Jack, is accused of killing his 85-year-old wife, Janet Becraft, last February. Earlier this month, he was deemed unfit to stand trial. In this new suit, the estate claims that Becraft was the victim of repeated mental, physical, and financial abuse by Haynes in the last 5 years of her life. The estate is seeking $750,000 in damages. We have an update to a wildfire burning in central Oregon. After more accurate mapping, the Butte Creek fire has been downsized to about 1,700 acres. It's burning at a remote area located on the east side of the John Day River near the junction of Wheeler, Gillum, and Wasco counties. Still no evacuations or closures. Helicopters will continue dipping water out of the John Day River today. All right, we are headed over to meteorologist Rod Hill on the weather deck right now. Sun is shining down on your head, sir.
Pretty much a cloud-free noon hour here in Portland. We're up on the deck, as you mentioned, China, courtesy of Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking. I want to go back to that wildfire story and realize the update that China just gave you, some 1,700 acres burned. The earlier reports were at 3,000 acres, so this is a very positive update. The fire is in a remote area. It's kind of sitting in the northwestern corner of Wheeler County. You can see antelope, fossil, and up in the Condon, all more than 10 miles away. We're still being told no homes are being threatened, and this is primarily burning grassland. Now, the forecast today is not bad. There's not really much wind out there. and temperatures are in the 70s to about 80 degrees. Now our noon temperature map doesn't pinpoint that area. It does show you John Day 65, Bend is at 70, and also 70 degrees out into Pendleton. Our lunchtime temperature in Portland, pretty much where we thought it would be at 67 degrees. Now, getting back to the fire weather in central and eastern Oregon for 1 second, no problems today. Tomorrow, this is late in the day going into the evening, some weakening showers and maybe some reigniting thunderstorms over the Cascades. The concern would be that could be some activity in central Oregon that would make winds erratic tomorrow evening. And actually, we're getting into that time of the season when lightning is a possibility. You have a concern of new lightning fire starts as far as that goes. All right, there's that lunchtime temperature, the sunny skies over the Rose City, 67 degrees. What to expect the remainder of today? Well, this hits us up to 81 at 4 o'clock, and then the highs today between 4 and 5:30, anywhere from 82 to 83, it appears, here in Portland. All right, I'm going to come back indoors, and the next time I see you, we'll talk about what may be the warmest temperatures of the year so far in your 7-day forecast. For now, China, back inside to you.
Thank you, Rod. Now to a warning about a type of toxic algae in the Columbia River that Clark County officials say that they have never dealt with before. So it's called benthic algae that forms in mats, unlike the algae blooms that we've reported on for years now. KGW's Catherine Cook spoke to a family doubling down on that warning after losing their dog to it last year.
When it comes to pets,
Cedar was the best dog.
Elise and George Pang say Cedar was about as good as any dog could be.
Very sweet, loving, great with kids.
Last October, the Pangs launched their boat from the port of Kamiswashugal to Ackerman Island on the Columbia River. It was Cedar's second birthday. He spent it running on the beach, but the Pangs say he stayed out of the river. They weren't prepared for what happened next.
All of a sudden, our dog kind of came over to where we were, and he kind of had that sick look on his face.
He got up like from my feet and collapsed and then vomited, and that was basically it.
Cedar wasn't breathing, so Elise started CPR. They rushed him to a vet, but they couldn't revive him. Elise says that's when she started to feel ill.
I started to feel feelings of like tingling on my tongue and some brain fog. We didn't know what it was. We were worried that it was drugs or something like that.
The vet told them it was likely a toxic algae exposure. Tests from a stomach sample confirmed that. But it wasn't from a blue-green algae bloom like this one, known to form on the surfaces of lakes and slow-moving water, but rather a benthic algae mat like this one. Experts say they can grow on riverbeds and rocks, then detach and float to shore in clumps.
It's scary to not know really what it was, and of course we hadn't heard anything about it.
This sounds like a very dangerous toxin.
Concerns over toxic algae took center stage at the Clark County Board of Health meeting last week.
So we're now asking ourselves, what can we do differently?
Environmental health specialist Maggie Palmacki says before last October, benthic algae mats weren't even on their radar. She says a second dog passed away after a benthic algae exposure in St. Helens last August. But she says it's hard to know what amount of this new form of toxic algae would be harmful.
Thresholds are based on really good science behind it, which currently doesn't exist. So I would hesitate to say we could arbitrarily select a number.
Unlike algae blooms, health officials say benthic mats don't affect the clarity of the water, making them harder to spot. Also, both forms of algae may or may not be toxic at any given time. With so many variables, Clark County Health Officer Dr. Alan Melnick says their most critical goal is public education.
Cyanotoxins can cause liver failure, among other things. So we're not trying to scare anybody. I think we just want to make sure that people are aware of this. But there's no way to test ourselves out of this ahead of time.
Health officials are warning the public through outreach and new signs on both sides of the river. The Pangs appreciate that.
We just wouldn't want anybody to go through what we had to go through.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And now to an update for this year's Portland Rose Festival. Dylan of the Portland Pickles, that guy right there, will be the ground marshal of the Care Oregon Starlight Parade. The parade is a cherished tradition of the Rose Festival happening on the night of May 31st. There will be electrifying floats like that, marching bands, and illuminated performances, and of course, Mr. Dylan Pickle himself. And trending right now, HBO's Harry Potter's TV series has officially found its Harry, Hermione, and Ron. Dominic McLaughlin will play the role of Harry Potter. Arabella Stanton is Hermione Granger, and Alastair Stout, Ron Weasley. More than 30,000 actors auditioned for the lead roles, and the filming for the series is expected to begin this summer.